Through the Middle Ages, after the fall of the Roman Empire, European feudalism was born. European feudalism was a hierarchical society with a tier of power from the king and castle to nobles, knights, and the peasants. King and castle. The king was to protect and uphold peace, enforce the law and provide justice, and the castle was designed to defend against invaders and to protect everyone inside. It was large and exquisite. How did one become king? You know, the ones that wore the fancy clothes and a crown? A man could be a king because of inheritance, or in some parts of Europe, be elected. A king could also be a king because of his position of power made it possible to take the throne. These are two examples of kings from the Middle Ages. King William the Conqueror, who ruled from 1066 to his death in 1087. He defeated and killed Harold at the Battle of Hastings and was crowned right after. King Richard I, or Richard the Lionheart, ruled from 1189 to his death in 1199. He was called the Lionheart because he was a strong military leader and a great warrior. So who is the king? The king was the leader of the people and the land. His role was to protect, lead, appoint, and to control. He controlled the land and granted parts of it to nobles or lords in exchange for military service. The nobles and lords were called vassals to the king, and they swore to defend and fight for the king's land. Some of the king's duties were to protect and uphold the peace of his people, to enforce the law, and to provide justice. What is a king without his castle? The architectural design of a medieval castle began as wooden, motte, and bailey, and transformed to great stone structures. The transformation of these castles happened over time, influenced by war and new technology. Castles were built to defend and attack. There are many parts of a castle, and to name a few, there was the lord's chambers, the dungeons, the walls and watchtowers, a great hall, gardens, a banner or flag, moats often filled with water, and when they weren't, they were filled with other things that would defend against enemies, a drawbridge, a gatehouse, and battlements, which were small defensive walls at the top of the castle's main walls.
The relationship between a lord and a vassal was essential for creating and maintaining order when no centralized authority existed. The relationship was symbiotic and consisted of a mutual obligation. Landholding lords gave portions of their land, called fiefs, to vassals in exchange for military aid. In a commendation ceremony, vassals swore the oath of fealty to their lords. The oath went as follows: I promise on my faith that I will in the future be faithful to the Lord, never cause him harm, and will observe my homage to him completely against all persons in good faith and without deceit. This was a pledge of lifelong service. The ceremony also included an act of homage where the lord and the vassal entered into a contract. The lord promised to protect the vassal, and the vassal promised to fight for the lord. There were clear rules and norms that governed this relationship. Vassals served directly under a lord. They were usually knights, but could also be barons, clergy, or a trusted member of the nobility. Some lived in the king's castle or their lord's manor home, and some lived in homes on their own land. The land they were granted typically had farms, pastures, mills, and churches. Vassals served as the right-hand man to their lords. Their primary role was to provide military support as needed. Additionally, their role was to protect and maintain the manor, supervise serfs and peasants, and oversee the day-to-day activities of the manor. Vassals attended to their lords during court. They provided counsel, helped make decisions, and administered justice. They also recruited men for their lord's armies. Vassals' rights over their fiefs increased over time, and fiefs became hereditary. If a vassal's heir was willing to do homage and pay relief, which is similar to an inheritance tax, he could inherit the fief. If a vassal died without an heir, the fief would return to the lord, but the lord would take care of his family. Although this relationship was a solemn oath and a lifetime commitment, it was vulnerable to changes in politics. A vassal could receive fiefs from more than one lord. Difficulties could arise if a vassal's lords went to war against each other, since he was honor-bound to pay homage and fealty to both.
Knights. The word knight came from the Old English word knecht, meaning boy or servant, and is analogous to the German word Knecht, meaning servant, bondsman, or vassal. During Charlemagne's reign, any well-equipped horseman was considered a knight. This is where the concept of a knight mounting a horse and holding a spear came from. How are knights trained? At the age of 7, they begin their training and are given the title of page. Pages are children born of nobility, knights, or lords. They become assistants to squires and are instructed by the knights in swordsmanship, equestrianism, chivalry, warfare, and combat using wooden weapons. At 15, they are given the title of squire and become the bearer of the knight's weapons in wars. They undergo advanced training and were allowed real weapons. At the age of 21 is when they are inducted into knighthood. A ceremony is held where the knight will swear an oath and the master will dub him on the shoulders with a sword. Chivalry is a code of behavior followed by the knights and a standard of professional ethics, including very specific duties and practicing more ethereal virtues. These duties are defending the church and king, paying homage to the king, honoring women, respecting fellow knights. Tournaments. Tournaments are more of a sporting event rather than military training. Tournaments are held to sharpen the knight's skills and keep them fit when there are no wars. However, due to its competitive nature, it is inevitable for injuries or death to occur.